Ben Chen and I did the 2015 free response question 1. Part A of this question was to write a method named ArraySum that calculates the sum of the one-dimensional array, and this would be an example of that. The steps for this would be to create a method header that returns an int, declare a variable that holds the value of each object, so sum or total or array sum or something like that, and then use a for loop that goes through the array, or a for each loop would also work. And then this would be an example of that off to the side. Part B was to write a static method, row sums, that calculates the sum of each of the rows in a given two-dimensional array and returns these sums in a one-dimensional array. The method has one parameter, a two-dimensional array, ARR2D of int values. The array is in a row major order, so RC, and the method returns a one-dimensional array with one entry for each row. The explanation for this: first, you need to create a method header that returns a one-dimensional array called row sums, and it needs to accept two-dimensional array as one of its parameters. You need to declare the one-dimensional array that holds the sum of each row, and you need to use a for loop that iterates through the length and the number of rows in the two-dimensional array. In the loop, you need to assign the sum of the rows in ARR2D to the loop iteration index of the new array. And then finally, you need to return the one-dimensional array that holds the sum of each row declared earlier. So that would be array sum, or whatever you named that. And then there is an example off to the side. Final part to this one is part C, and this involved a two-dimensional array So part C involves a two-dimensional array and uses the method isDiverse to test if each individual row in the two-dimensional array, the sum of that row is different from the others. So in the examples here, you see that the sum of each of these rows is different. So this would be true in this two-dimensional array. And then you see over here that sum of row 0 and row 3 are both 14, so that would be false. First, you need to create a method header that returns true or false, a boolean. You need to name it isDiverse, and needs to take the two-dimensional array ARR2D. You need to declare a one-dimensional array that holds the value of the sum of each row. You need to use a double-nested for loop. The nested loop checking to see if a row sum was equal to the outer loop's row sum. You need to start with the outer loop's iteration one more than the inner loop, since you do not want to check the same row sum. And if a row sum is equal to another, you return false. If not, it is true. And then here's an example off to the side. And that's it for this.